Hutchinson. Definitely happy to be in front of each and every single one of you all here today. I'm definitely out of South Florida, Palm Beach to be specific right now. And drop in the chat where it is you're calling in from this morning. We want to go ahead and get started with this morning dedication. I'm going to start with the I'm so happy and grateful now. We want to start every morning with the attitude of gratitude. See, I'm so happy and grateful now for being blessed with this opportunity to show and impact 5,000 lives by December 2021. For my retiring 365 family and my mentors, for being Chairman Tim by it's April 30th, 2021. Dates backwards, and being a six-figure trader with the new TDL. Hey, shout out to the new TDL strategy. If you missed it, you missed it. Don't miss it. You definitely want to make sure you're in position this week for the new strategy that is launching for the team. The Dyson legacy is going to be epic. You definitely want to make sure you're in position to get access to this amazing, amazing strategy that's good. Look, if y'all been paying attention to what's been going on with Skittles, right? I hope you really took full advantage of what you had. But now you're going to have something even better, but you're not going to get access to it if you don't go ahead and put yourself in position. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's keep going through this. I'm so happy and grateful now. I'm so happy and grateful now for my retired 365 family. So happy and grateful now that I earn $100,000 a week. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm healthy and wealthy. It's done. I'm happy and grateful now that Chairmanton is done April 24th, 2021. I'm happy and grateful now that I'm consistent with being in a niche. I'm so happy and grateful now that I woke up energized, confident, and ready to accomplish my goals of impacting 3 people today and showing them the benefit of making money from their phone. And creating a legacy for their last names. We got people calling in from Tampa, Georgia, San Antonio, Texas, Tanzania, Africa. We got Cape Town, South Africa. We got Bahamas in here. We got Dallas, Texas. Look, we got people from all over coming in. We got more happy and gratefuls literally flowing through here. And what I want you to know, right? First of all, everybody, go ahead and take a quick second, right? I want you to take a second and grab your notebook, right? Grab your notebook, grab something to write with, because you definitely want to be taking notes with what it is we're about to go over. See, our goal as a company is to impact the lives of 1 million individuals. But how can you impact those lives if you forget what you heard, right? If you forget what you learned, if you don't remember what it is you hear on these calls, if you don't remember what it is that you hear, right, when you're watching your trainings, when you're listening to the different things, you can listen to it over and over, but if you don't remember it, right, then you can't go teach it. You can't go share that information with other people. So I want you to understand, right? Drop some ones in the chat once you're in a position, once you're ready to go ahead and start taking these notes, right? Drop some ones in the chat once you are ready to start taking these notes. Let me see what we got going on. All right, I see some ones coming in. I see the ones coming in. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, let me get my notes pulled up, right? And I want to make sure we're gonna stay on tab. We're not gonna go too far off today, right? Because hey, Charles, right? Sometimes we get a little bit off track and we go completely left from where we intended to go, but it's still always a good message, right? It's still always a good message, but we would definitely want to stay on target here today. And this is something I heard maybe it was a couple years ago, but I heard it again, and it was by my guy Words Taylor, and it really directed where I want to put this message here today. And I'm going to combine it with just some of the things that we've been hearing. So a lot of the nuggets that we learned from this amazing convention. But the first thing I want you to understand, right, is that you have what it takes. How many people have seen the movie Black Panther, right? How many people have seen the movie Black Panther? Drop some 777s in the chat if you've seen Black Panther before, right? And if you haven't, we might have some spoilers come in. But it's 2021. So if you ain't seen Black Panther yet, I'm sorry for your loss, and go back and check it out sometime. But in that movie, right, in a specific part of that movie, there's a guy named Killmonger, right? You guys remember Killmonger? His father was a part of Wakanda, right? But Killmonger was born from where? He was born in Cali, right? He was born in the United States of America, but his father was born in Wakanda. However, even though he wasn't born the same place that his father actually gave him the rite of passage so that whenever he wanted to return to his home, right, he had the markings that granted him access to his home, right? He had all the information that he needed. Whenever he wanted to go back home, he could do it, right? Because his dad gave him access. Now, even though his father was killed, a bunch of other stuff happened, right? When he was very, very young, it was instilled in him that he had everything he needed to, to go back home. Now, fast forward through this movie, when he infiltrated Wakanda later on in life, right? He lived his, whole majority of his life in America. Fast forward, he had been preparing his whole life to go back home, right? But when he went home, what happened, right? When he went home, he wanted the throne, right? He wanted the throne. He didn't go back home. He didn't go back where he was destined to go and ask for an entry-level position. And we're going to talk about this, right? He'd been preparing literally his entire life to get back to where he was supposed to be. Some of you, right? Maybe growing up, maybe you weren't put in position that you necessarily wanted to be in, right? But if you understand who your father is, if you understand where, what you have access to, you know that you can have anything that you want. You know that the keys to the kingdom are already yours, right? You have access to get where you want to go. But the reality is, when you get there, you can get inside and still not know what you want. You can gain access to somewhere, but if you don't know what you want when you get there, what good was that access, right? So what happened when Killmonger went back to Wakanda, right? He made his way inside. He was in front of the whole council. What did they ask him? They said, "What do you want? Why are you here? All right, we see you one of us, right? We see you got the markings, but what do you want?" He looked over at the king and said, "I want the throne." Right? He says, "I want the throne." He didn't say, "I want an entry-level position." He didn't say, "Look, I just want to kind of see, I want to be part of the whole family. I want to see what's going on around here." While the king was sitting on the throne, he told them that he wants the throne. So it doesn't matter who's already in position. You still can have a desire for what you want. Some of you look at, oh, so-and-so is a P2000, a P5000, a Chairman 10. Oh, there's already 4 Chairman 750s. We didn't ask who's already in position. We asked, what do you want? How much do you want to make? What do you want to do this for, right? What's your personal desire? But if you don't know what you want, when you get put in a position, right? When you get started in an opportunity and information such as this, right? And somebody says, "What do you want?" You start saying, well, $2,000 a month would be nice. $3,000 a month would be nice. $5,000 a month would be nice. You start saying things like that, but we never ask what you think you can get. We ask, what do you want, right? So you got to really take a dive into yourself and take a look like, okay, what do I want, right? So first he knew what he wanted, but the second thing was you got to know that you're worthy, right? He knew that because of who his father was, that he was worthy to fight for the throne, right? He would have never said, "I wanted the throne," if he didn't believe that he was worthy for it, right? Some people come in again and say, "I just want to make $3,000. I just want to make $5,000," because they don't believe that they're worthy for $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1,000,000 a month. Talk to somebody earlier. Hey, look, how's that thing going? It's going amazing. The event was great. The CEO released a new position that's going to be dropping soon. We can be in a position to be able to make $10 million every single month. Wow, it's a pandemic right now. How are they paying out that type of money? They don't believe they're worthy for that. They can't fathom in their mind that anybody even makes $1 million a month, right? So when you talk to people, understand that not everybody even feels that they're worthy to make an extra $1,000 a month. You tell somebody that they can have a $12,000 a year bonus just from hitting P1000, and the reason they don't go after it is because they don't think that they're worth that. Think about this. The government believes that you're only worth $600 to $1,200 once every 5, 6, 7 months in the middle of a pandemic. Why do you think people think so low of themselves? It's been conditioning them their whole life, right? So when you tell somebody you can earn an extra $1 million a month, they're looking like, I'd be happy with $50, $100, right? Because they don't think that they're even worth that, right? So number one, you got to know what you want. Number two, you got to know that you're worthy. But number three, you got to be prepared for it right now, right? You got to be prepared for it right now, because what they told him was, okay, you can challenge for the throne, right? But we'll be able to put something together in a couple weeks. But again, he knew he was worthy and he came prepared. He said, nah, I'm ready right now. Y'all remember that whole fight scene, right? He was ready right then. He didn't come and say, all right, look, let me learn y'all customs, let me learn y'all ways. Like, let me get familiar with the city and everything, you know. What kind of weapons we got? Nah, he's like, no, let me fight right now. Like, I want this today. When you know what you want, you're not waiting to get all the information. You don't need, okay, well, all right, let me email some people. Let me set some calls up. Let me do this, that, the third. Let me learn this entire, $1 trillion industry today, over the next couple weeks, and then I'll be ready to take the next steps towards what I said that I want. You're not going to do that if you believe you're worthy for what you want. And some people are sitting there right now, even in the midst of this, and saying, it don't have to be done that way, because you don't believe you're worthy. And that's okay, but it's not okay. It's not okay. It's okay to understand where you are right now. But again, if you understand who your father is, you'll believe that you're worthy. You'll believe that you can do anything. And you'll understand and know that it does not have to come the way you think it's going to come, right? Let me read. This is a post I put up on Instagram yesterday. And I just wanted to read the actual quote that I had put in there, because I thought that was powerful. And it really goes with what we're talking about. So basically it said, and I think I've typed it right here, right? So it's Psalms 23:4. It talks about, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, right? But you got to ask yourself these questions and write these questions down. And you can also screenshot, you can get it from my post. Number one, how are you operating in the midst of your valley? Right? How are you operating in the midst of your valley? Because in that verse, it's the first couple words says, yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death. He told you you're going to go through a valley, but people are praying to get around the valley. People are praying the valley doesn't exist. God, please move my mountain. No, give me the strength to get over it. Give me the strength to get through whatever it is I'm going through, right? But give me the courage and the faith to know that I can do it. Some people will look at the valley and just be like, you think about a valley's dark, right? They don't necessarily know, where they're going. They start looking around and they get scared. So you got to ask yourself, are you praying to go around it, or are you praying to go through it? Are you walking in faith or running in fear? What happens when people get in the valley? They start running, they start panicking, they start doing their own thing. They want things to go the way that they want them to go. They want to get through the darkness so fast. He said, yea, though I walk through the valley. When I hear walk, you're not scared when you're walking. If you're in a dark place and you just, casually walking, you taking a stroll through, you belong, right? Let's put it in today's term. You in a neighborhood, right? And you got the right side of town and you got the other side of town. Depending on what side of town you own, going to depend on how your body posture is, how you clutching your purse. If you looking both ways, like it's going to determine some things which side of town you on. But depending on who you are and where you're from is also going to determine that. If you grew up in a certain neighborhood, you're going to feel a little safer in that particular environment. If you're with, and you see a cop down the middle of the street or something like that, you might feel a little bit safer in that particular area, just knowing that maybe nobody's going to come and do something to me, right? So am I walking through this place in fear, in faith, or am I scared while I'm here, right? if I'm scared, you got to ask yourself the next question: do I even know who has my back? Right? Because it says he's with me. He's comforting me, right? Do I trust that he's going to get me through what he said he's going to get me through? If I said that I want to make a certain amount of money, but I don't trust that he's going to provide what's needed to make that, then I'm not trusting him, right? I'm not trusting the process. I'm not running the play. I'm not going to run the play if I don't trust the person giving the play, right? Say that again. I'm not going to run the play if I don't trust the person that's giving the play. So you got to ask yourself, do I have faith that I won't be given more than I can handle? If you're in practice, if a coach tells you, for those of you that attended the convention, I can't think of the name of the movie. I got to go back and do it. It was this the scene where the guy was crawling across the field, right? He was the leader of the team, and the coach told him to go 30 yards, but he blindfolded him, and he ended up going the full length of the field, right? You don't know how far you can go or what you can do or what you're capable of when you're focused on what you see, right? Just focus on the goal. Focus on the coach's voice. The coach said you asked for something. The coach is going to tell you how to get it, but if you're only focused on what you're looking at, right? You're not going to do all that you can do. How many people know that they haven't done all that they can do? Right? You get started, you say, all right, let me focus on this trading stuff. Or I'll talk to a couple people, right? But the coach told you to make the list of 100. The coach told you to start calling that list, right? He even gave you a blueprint or she on how to go through it. But because you're focused on what you see and not what the coach is saying, you might hear a couple no's and stop. You say that's not for me. You say back to what Killmonger was talking about earlier. You're not ready right now. You're gonna do it when you think that you're ready, but you don't know what you're ready for because you're not the coach. You're the player. The player doesn't know their full potential. The coach don't even know your full potential. But guess what? They can push you to the point where you can find it, right? And I like this. I was thinking about this the other day. All that you have is all that you need. They say that it takes 10,000 hours to master something, right? It takes 10,000 hours to master something. But how many people know that those hours are like transfer credits in college? Right? I don't think y'all ever thought about it like this. Some of those hours are transfer credits. Now, if I was to transfer universities, right? If I went from Hampton, if I went to a different school, if I went to Howard or Norfolk State, wherever I went to, right? To the University of Florida, to the Florida State, to wherever I went, my core classes, I still get credit for those hours, right? I still get credit for that math class that I took, that science class, some of those things, because they know that no matter where you go, that information is going to be the same. But so if I'm like a freshman or a sophomore, I can take those hours, transfer over. I should still be pretty good. But now if I'm like a senior and I'm trying to transfer, I'm going to kind of go back to like being a junior, maybe even like a second semester sophomore or something like that. Because even though hours are transferable, not all of them are transferable. But I can use what I learned with those hours to get me through the hours I got to get through. Let me make it make sense. So when you get started something like this, right? This might be your first time in this space. For example, we hear Paris' story about hitting Chairman 10 in 90 days. That was his first time in this industry. However, he had transferable skills from what he did prior that speeded up his process because he had transferable hours. He used those transferable hours to get closer to that 10,000 hours very quickly, right? He did the 7, 8, 10, 30 presentations in a day, right? He did all the things that was necessary, and he used the hours that he had from what he did before over here. How does that work for you? Well, before you came here, part of your credit hours was the people that you already knew. You can choose to transfer those credits over here, Transfer those skills at the job that you work where maybe you had to make phone calls. Transfer those skills from that job you worked, right? Where they made you stay late. Maybe it wasn't even something specific, but you had to stay late, at your job all the time. So when you come here, you're like, I don't know how to be consistent. Well, you consistently stay late at that job 3 to 5 days a week every time they ask you. So you do know how to be teachable and coachable. You do know how to be consistent, but you just have to transfer that consistency on the job to that consistency on, I'm gonna listen to my mentor. What they told me to do, how they told me to do it, not how I think to do it. Right? If you're working in a store, your boss tells you to put something on the wall a certain way, you can't figure, I think it looks better like this. No, the company has some standards, right? And you have to follow those standards if you want to keep that job. Over here, it's not a job. But if you want to get that paycheck, there are some things that need to be done in a certain way. And it don't matter how you feel about it. It don't matter how you think it should go, because you're not the person that determines if you get the money or not, right? Your thoughts and feelings don't determine if you get the money or not. Your actions and the way that you go about them. So those are transferable skills. Now, you might not get credit for that grade, but you get credit for taking that course, right? And that's for my people that, if you went to school, you kind of understand what that means, right? You understand about a transfer credit. But and I told you I'm gonna tell you this on every single call. If you've ever heard of that 3 Feet from Gold story, right? We read it, we read the book, we've listened to the audio before in the past. But we had a real life example of 3 Feet from Gold just this past weekend. When we talk about 3 Feet from Gold, right? The story was about the gentleman who, he was digging. He found a little bit of gold, right? He saw how good there was a vein for gold where he was. He went and bought all this equipment. He did all these different things. He brought his whole family out there to dig for the gold. But instead of seeking counsel, instead of finding an expert in what he was doing, he tried to do it himself. He didn't get the result that he wanted. And instead of admitting that he was wrong, admitting that he didn't have the information that he needed to get the result that he said that he wanted, because if he really wanted to get all that gold, he would have did everything that he needed to get the gold. Instead, he gave up. He stopped digging, right? Even if he would have kept digging, right? But he gave up. He didn't keep digging. He didn't seek help, and he left. Somebody else, the junk man that bought his equipment for pennies on the dollar, even though he wasn't a learned man, he was smart enough to find somebody that knew how to find gold mines, right? That knew how to find the fault. The guy said, hey, if you dig 3 feet to the left, you'll find all the gold. He took the other man's equipment. This is the transferable skills we talked about. His 10,000 hours were transferable. The other guy completed the course. He came in. He gave him his credit hours. He said, hey, here you go. Here's my credit hours. I quit school. He gave him all his homework. He gave him all the assignments. So now the junk man, right, came in, and he's like, he's taking that same math class, but now what we say, copy, paste, profit. He in there like this. Oh, I just got to copy and paste this? Okay, bet. He made money, right? The junk man didn't have to go spend millions of dollars on equipment. He didn't have to go find, digging to figure out where gold might be. He just had to ask somebody, where should it be? He used the other man's equipment. He's super rich, right? How does that relate to the girl from this weekend, right? She was a part of the academy. She was entered in a drawing to win a Camaro, right? I don't know what was happening in her personal life. Maybe it was a money situation. Maybe she felt like she wasn't making enough money. Maybe she felt like, this isn't for me, it's not working fast enough, right? 2 subscription payments. She was literally how much is it? She was literally about $350. Let's say she had a platinum package. She was a 2-month payment away from winning a Camaro. How close are you to your breakthrough? When you think it's not working, when you think things aren't going your way, I don't know if you've been here for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. 2-3 years, what if you're only 2 subscription payments away from your breakthrough, right? $350 prevented her from winning a car that's worth way more than what she's ever paid. Even if she didn't have a need for a car, she could have sold it and had the money to now have the results that she really wanted. Because maybe her problem was she couldn't fund her trade account the way she wanted to. Maybe her problem, she was blowing accounts because she was trying to build them up from super small accounts because she couldn't practice proper risk management because she was so worried about her bills. Maybe her problem was people around her didn't support her because they didn't have proof, right? She didn't have any proof that it was working. But the proof that it was working was $350 away, but she didn't stay long enough to get the proof, right? She didn't stay long enough to get the proof. DL Woods was there. He talked about his breakthrough in the industry. He talked about it wasn't this company, when he first got started, right? It was a gentleman. He was outside of an event. The events were usually $5 to get in. It was $5 to get in the local events in his city, right? He went to the event. It happened to be one of the special Saturdays where they had some other guests coming in, and this event was $10. He only had enough to pay for the $5 event. His bank accounts was negative. He didn't have enough money. He didn't have the money. He was a grown man with a wife and kids and didn't have $10 to get into an event. But you know what he had? The right mindset, right? Because he went and stood on the side. Somebody walked by and said, "How are you feeling today?" Instead of saying, "I'm okay. Man, I can't get in. I wish I could get into this event. Man, I don't have enough money." Instead of being down on himself, he said, this was the first time the words ever came out of his mouth. He said, "I'm better than amazing." The guy was one of the speakers, said, "We need this energy inside of the room," and took him inside all the way to the front. He went, his words took him where his bank account couldn't take him. His bank account couldn't get him inside that room. He didn't have $10. But because he was speaking what he actually should have been speaking, the words that he should have been speaking, that got him inside the room, a front row seat, and kept his career going, right? Keon Edwards, right? Shout out to my guy Keon, 20-year-old Chairman 10. The event that we just came from, the Dream Convention, was in his city. He's now proven that I'm making $10,000 a month. Yet, even after making $10,000 a month, sitting in the chairman section, speaking on stage in front of over 3,000 people, in his very own city, his parents wouldn't come to support him, right? His parents wouldn't even show up to see him speak because they don't believe in his vision, right? He's already hit Chairman 10. He's already proven it works, right? Alex Morton shouted the man out when he was on stage because, look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't think that hurts him? Of course it does. But at the same time, he says, "I'm going to keep going," right? No matter what anybody thinks, no matter what anybody says, if you don't keep speaking the words that you need to speak, if you don't keep going, no matter what it looks like, right? You could be 1 or 2 subscription payments away from your breakthrough. You could be 1 trade away from your breakthrough. You going hard this week to hit that P150, P600, P1000, you could be a few phone calls away from getting access to the TDL strategy that could completely change your life. You ever think about that? You ever think about that? You haven't got your breakthrough in trading yet, but all you need to do is go ahead and pick up the phone a few times. Not only are you going to impact somebody else's life, you're going to have access to something that can change your life. And if you spread that same message to the individuals that you impact, they're going to want access to the same thing you got access to. Now you hit P600, P1000, right? Now your life is never the same. All because you took advantage. You made a decision, right? You made a decision. And I heard, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I heard Lou say this on stage. You can't promote 7 streams of income and you not taking advantage of all sides of this. You can't get on the call, you can't talk to your friends and say, you need to do something like this. How does it sound for me to tell somebody, look into cryptocurrency, look into network marketing, look into IM, but you don't even get on the sessions. You don't even have a Coinbase account. You're not even demo trading. You're not even looking at the high frequency side. You're not even trying to build the business. But millionaires have 7 streams of income. You're here only trying to do one. Now, this ain't for everybody. Everybody don't want to be a millionaire. But if you say you want to make $1 million, you say you want to set yourself financially free, you want to get your reasons why done. Why you can't say, well, nah, I don't mess with that Bitcoin thing. When you got it's the same concept of taking the copying and pasting the trade. I don't mess with that high frequency stuff. It's the same thing as copying and pasting the trade into your thing. You just clicking. You can't pick and choose, right? You can't pick and choose because, again, you can't tell God how to bless you. And if you listen to average people that tell you no about this, you're just as average as them if you let that affect you. If you listen, if an average person telling you something affects you, you're just as average as them. You can get better. That's okay. You can get better. But I want you to imagine going into a restaurant, right? And somebody that's walking by the street. Oh, let's use this. I'm going into Ruth's Chris, right? I like, they got some good crab cakes in there. I'm going into Ruth's Chris, right? Before I go in the door, a man walking by has a McDonald's bag, right? Eating a McBurger, whatever they call them things, right? I don't do burgers in general. But he's eating one of the McChickens or something like that, and he says, "Man, why you going in there? That food is too expensive. It ain't that good. I don't know why you would eat there." Am I gonna be affected by his opinion of the restaurant I'm going in, and I look at what he's eating right now? His palate isn't on the same level as where I'm going. You can't look at me and say, I like this, but I don't like that, and expect me to listen to you. And it doesn't make sense. So it's the same thing. You can't come into this opportunity saying you want to make a certain amount of money and listen to somebody that makes $5,000 a month at their job. They're 30 years old. They make 10,000. They can make 6 figures. Maybe they make 8,000, 10,000 a month. They 30, 40, 50 years old. They've been making that for years. You can get a pay raise in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? It don't have to take long. And even if it takes a little bit longer for you, understand it's part of your process. Go through it. If you don't go through it, you'll never get to the other side. When we talk about that valley, you got to go through the valley to get to the other side, right? Don't try to skip the valley. Don't try to skip whatever it is you're going through. Like I said from the beginning, you got to know what you want. You got to know that you're worthy to get it, and you got to be prepared to get it now. Being prepared is being prepared to go through the valley. Being prepared to listen to somebody to somebody that has more information than you do. Being prepared to humble yourself and say, I don't have all the information, because if I had it all, I would already have it all. I would have the money, the cars, the clothes, the paid off bills, right? I was listening to one of my guys earlier, because again, your goal might not be to be a multi-millionaire. But he said, I really want to get back to my church. He said, I want to tithe $1 million. I want to have $1 million for my kids saved up. And, I want to be able to travel. Awesome. Right? Put yourself in position to get it. But even if your goal is to give, you can't give what you don't have. Right? You can't give what you don't have. So you got to put yourself in a position to get what it is that you really want. So that's all I got for y'all today. Appreciate each and every single one of y'all. Let's go ahead. Let's have an amazing, amazing day. What's today? Tuesday, April 20th, right? 420. Make sure you go out there, put yourself in position to to receive what it is that you really want. The Dyson Legacy strategy is dropping this week, right? So you want to make sure you're in position to get access, because you can literally be phone calls away from the thing that's going to change your life. Phone calls away. But if you don't pick up the phone, I'm going to end it here. If you don't pick up the phone, right? Don't come tomorrow, the next day, and say trading's not working. Don't say out your mouth, I'm not getting the results that I want. You can't say that things aren't going the way I want them to go, because when the play is given, if you don't run it, it's nobody's fault but you. And once you identify that it's your fault, you got to take action, right? Otherwise, you're going to stay in the same position that you are, right? So take action today. If you don't know what the play is, call your mentor, get the exact play. Paris gave out the play on Sunday. Get the exact play and make sure you do the play. You run the play, the whole play, and nothing but the play, all right? So that's what I got for each and every single one of y'all. Today's Tuesday, like I said. What do we have today? We got beginner setup tonight at 9 o'clock inside of the paid members Facebook group. So make sure you get access to that. Make sure you link up with your personal success coach, with your Platinum 1000 or higher, right? Or your chairman leader in your organization. Let's get some launch calls set up. Let's put you in a position where you can get your reasons why taken care of. You can get all of your goals, right, laid out on the platter, and we can have some actionable steps that you can take each and every single day. Because if you don't have a target of where you're going, you're never going to get there. All right. So that's all we got for each and every single one of y'all. Spend your hour a day, 5 days a week inside of the academy. That's the only way you're going to learn this information. But I'll see y'all at the top, because the sky is never